Hello and welcome to the Liz Javier podcast. I'm Liz and I am so excited about today's topic. I didn't even blow dry my hair getting out of the shower. And honestly, I almost started recording this podcast in the shower because I have so much to share with you, but I decided to wait. So if you're watching this somewhere out there where there's video, don't judge the hair. It's going to get a little crazy as it dries, but let's talk about the power of being selfish. Now, this is a topic I am so passionate about. And I wish somebody would have taught me this so much sooner in my life and really put out there why putting myself first is the key to my happiness and success. And today I'm going to help you challenge the belief that selfish is bad. Instead, we're going to reframe that to what if being selfish is the key to living a fulfilled, confident, and happy life. Now, I know this started with me at a very young age, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and why we are programmed this way, especially ladies out there. Us women are programmed to be this way sometimes. But, it starts out with wanting to be everything our parents want us to be, right? We want to be like our older siblings, our cousins, those people that we look up to. And, for me, it started with trying to people please from the very beginning because we are trained to be rewarded for doing good things. And then it filtered over into my relationships, trying to please a man, always putting his needs first before mine. And the crazy thing is nobody taught me how to do that. I didn't really have very many good relationships, marriages, or anything to look forward to in the future. So I really didn't know what a healthy marriage or a healthy relationship really looks like. That's no fault of my parents, my siblings, or anybody else that I was around during my younger years. I did not really look for that either. And so men in my life never asked me to people please them. Now, there's probably some that influenced me or, maybe have them even manipulated to get their way. But there's a lot of men in my life that they just wanted me to be happy. But I always put their needs first and try to do everything for them and put myself aside. And so I didn't realize until, I'm 40 now, 38 years old, that I can be selfish, and it's okay to be selfish, but do it where it doesn't hurt other people. So I introduced this week the Glow Getter Challenge, which is exactly what I learned and how to help women prioritize your life without feeling guilt. So I'm going to share a little bit about that today. But first, let's talk about the problem. So the problem why women struggle to put themselves first. Many women struggle to prioritize themselves, not because they don't want to, but they've been conditioned. We've all been conditioned to believe that doing that is wrong. Whether that is society around us, family dynamics that we grew up with or we've grown into, or internalized guilt created by just invisible barriers and things that we've made up. It's made it hard to put ourselves first without feeling selfish. So let's break down the biggest reasons why this happens. The first one, and one I'm so guilty of, is the good girl conditioning. So this is what I talked about just a little bit ago. So from a young age, women are taught to be people pleasers, to be kind, accommodating, and always put others' needs ahead of their own. This can lead to different things like saying yes when you really want to say no, prioritizing other people's comfort over your own desires, or feeling guilty for taking up space, for taking some extra rest, or pursuing your dreams. And I will tell you that this conditioning will make us automatically do certain things. And we do it almost as a habit to feel safe, even when we know we should put ourselves first. We have done this for so long that we forget. And one thing that I learned is to write down your belief system and your values and what you believe in. And if somebody asks you to do something that goes against those values, you say no. You explain why, and then you move on. You have to say no. If your values are, I have to get a good 8 hours of sleep, or I need to make sure that I'm eating healthy, working out every single day, whatever it is that you're doing for yourself and your health. If somebody asks you to do something and that you have to sacrifice yourself in order to be there for them, there are certain boundaries you need to draw. Now, sometimes emergencies happen. There's people that need help. You have children that rely on you. Of course, there's going to be situations where you have to take care of other people. But if it's not a dire situation where they could ask somebody else or they could do it themselves, don't be afraid to say no. When you draw that boundary, people will actually be like, oh, let me ask Liz. Well, she said no last time. She has this, this, and this. If I do this, that is going to make her sacrifice that, and I want her to take care of herself. The people around you that love you are going to respect that. And then they're going to start taking a look at, what am I doing to prevent the person that I love in my life from doing what they need to do? And so I know if there's some male listeners out there, this can apply to you as well, drawing these boundaries and things. But also I want you to evaluate if there's women in your life that you could help also draw those boundaries for themselves. Now, there was a study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, and this found that women are more likely than men to feel responsible for maintaining social harmony. And a lot of times they do that at the cost of their own well-being. And then there's another study, Psychology of Women Quarterly, found that women are conditioned to associate self-sacrifice with being a good person. Let me say that again. Psychology of Women Quarterly, they found that women are conditioned to associate self-sacrifice with being a good person. Isn't that crazy? Have you ever thought about that? I am such a good person because I sacrificed my time and my energy to help this person. I mean, be honest, ladies, how many times have you done that? And it doesn't mean that you're not a good person when you don't do that, but you don't have to self-sacrifice yourself to be a good person. Let's cut that tie right now and let's just be good people, but also make sure that we take good care of ourselves. So think about, maybe like an example would be like a woman who volunteers to plan a family event. And I know this probably applies to a lot of you and you've done this in the past. Or maybe it's help your coworker after hours and you always say yes. When people ask and need you, you say yes. But yet you have no time or energy left for yourself. That workout you wanted to do after work, that time you wanted to spend going to bed early, that overtime, that burns you out. You feel exhausted. You start resenting the people around you. And the idea itself of saying no just feels so selfish and wrong. And I'll tell you, I want to go back to that feeling of exhausted and resentful. I won't never, ever allow myself to get exhausted and resentful of other people. I have played the blame game on other people my entire life. No, not my entire life, in and out of my entire life, where I have sacrificed everything for you, and this is how you treat me. You know, I start to get resentful, and no one ever asked me to do these things. I did them on my own. So if you're self-sacrificing yourself without people asking, you don't get resentful to them. Be resentful to yourself and start making some changes because it's time to put yourself first. Okay, so if you play that good girl role, it's time to change that mentality a little bit. Let's talk about the second reason why women struggle to put themselves first. So there's this big fear of being seen as selfish, and we talked about it a little bit in the last problem, but let's really break it down. Many women hesitate to put themselves first because they fear this judgment. They don't want to be selfish or high maintenance or a bad partner or a bad friend or a bad mother. But guess what? I used to think being high maintenance was just gross and not good and whatever. I'm so high maintenance now. So ridiculous. When I go on trips, I take stuff with me for my self-care. I take stuff that I need, that I love, that I want for my day, that for my routine. And I don't care because you know what? At the end of the day, I feel good that I'm taking care of myself. And I used to think that like, oh, being high maintenance, spending all this time on these massages or taking a hot bath or putting a facial mask on or doing some makeup to look pretty, like, oh, that's all high maintenance and I don't want to be high maintenance. Well, screw that. I'm high maintenance now and I love it. And I am so happy. So let's talk about that fear now a little bit more. So why does this fear make you feel guilty. You feel guilty for taking a break, for spending money on yourself, or prioritizing your goals over what other people expect of you. Taking a break and using that rest, like that time for yourself. Taking a break doesn't even have to be resting. It could be taking a break to go to yoga, taking a break to read a book, to have a cup of coffee or tea out on the balcony or your patio, just to like soak up the sun and the air. That is a really great time for you to spend the time with yourself and nobody else. Spending money on yourself. Now, of course, there's a limit. If you have a family to take care of, you have a spouse, there is going to be a certain amount of give and take with the amount of money you spend. But if it's just a simple yoga membership, or being able to buy a couple of essential oils and a essential oil diffuser, to help with your stress and anxiety, why not? What is it worth to you, and how can you talk about that with your partner? I bet if you said, hey, I just want to spend this extra money on XYZ, this is how it's going to help me. What do you think? And I bet you they're going to support you. Now, prioritizing your goals over what others expect of you. Gosh, this is such a big one. We all expect to do certain things or be certain things. So that could be getting a job that pays the bills, that has a retirement fund, that has insurance, and all these things. Those are really great things to have. But if your goal is to have more, and you might have to sacrifice some of those things temporarily, or you have to chase your dreams, which means you're going to have to spend a little bit more time with yourself and maybe learning a new skill or learning a new task. You have to sometimes prioritize yourself and your goals over other people, and that is not selfish. So dig deep into why this guilt happens. So when you feel guilt around these specific topics, or maybe there's other topics that you've thought of as well as I've been talking about it, why does that guilt exist? Is there a place or a time in your past where this guilt came from? And can you release it? There's no reason to hold on to something from the past, because all it does was keep us from our present and stops us from planning our future. Now, there's always research behind some of these things. So I'm going to talk about, there was a study in 2021 of the Journal of Happiness Studies. So this journal reported that there's significantly higher levels of guilt when engaging in self-care activities compared to men. The guilt often leads women to abandon their personal goals in favor of meeting others' expectations. And so men do self-care things. Going out golfing with their buddies, playing video games is their self-care time. There's nothing that says that self-care has to be massages, facials, and all those things. Self-care is anything that you do for yourself to create more happiness in your life. So this guilt that we have for doing those things, it has to go. We have to find ways to let go of that. And if we think a certain way, that certain things are certain ways, like that self-care for ourselves, it doesn't even have to be big things you have to expend a lot of money on. I thought, I can't afford to go to a spa. I don't have to go to a spa to do self-care. I can do so many other things to give myself that care. Now, an example of this might be like if you're a mother who dreams of starting your own business, but you won't because you're afraid that people will think that you're neglecting your family, convincing you that it's not the right time. And then many years go by and you're still putting your dreams on hold. And I'm guilty of that too. And that's why I've been working hard over the last few months to start my own business, because I am afraid that people will think that I am neglecting my responsibilities. And I don't want to share too much into that because it's a little deep topic that I'm still working through, and I need more information to work through all of that. But it's not a bad thing to go through the process to work through that. What are your struggles? What are you neglecting, or what do you think people think you're neglecting? And then find ways to overcome. It is the right time. When is the right time? There's never going to be a right time. So stop putting your dreams on hold and let's start making some actions. Okay. Next one, the invisible workload leading to burnout. Ooh, the invisible workload. I love this when I heard it. So women often carry a mental and emotional load in your household and workplaces. And so what does that mean? So when you're not even physically there doing everything, you're mentally managing it all. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when you're not physically doing everything, you're mentally managing it all. So this could be remembering birthdays, scheduling appointments, keeping track of everyone's needs, right, in your household. Or it could be managing different household responsibilities. Even if you have a full-time job and your husband has a full-time job, you're still managing the responsibilities. What gets cleaned when? What gets scheduled for this and that? You know, granted, I think there are some amazing relationships out there where there are men that will do 50-50 on the household responsibilities. But a lot of the times, both men and women have full-time responsibilities, but they're still trying to manage doing the laundry and cleaning the house. And even if it feels 50-50, a lot of the time, women manage it all, especially mentally in their heads, that it needs to be done. And they don't want to feel like they're nagging their spouse. So a lot of the times they'll just do it themselves. Now, another one could be just acting as an emotional support system. So this could be for your friends, your family, or your coworkers, right? This is stuff that you're mentally managing, even though you're someone that might need that emotional support system, you're that for other people. And so you feel selfish asking other people for that. So this invisible workload, these things that you manage mentally, all of this leads to burnout. It makes us feel selfish if we don't take a step back from it. Now, research from the American Psychology Association. Now, this reported that women experience significantly higher levels of mental exhaustion than men. And this is largely due to that invisible workload of emotional labor. That emotional labor that we put on ourselves causes this burnout. In a dual income households, women still perform 65% more domestic work than their male partners. Again, granted, that is just research. There's probably some that number is even, or maybe even the men do more than the women. But still performing 65% more domestic work than their male partner, I imagine that happens quite a bit. Now, this could be like a woman who works full-time and still does the grocery shopping, keeps track of the kids' schoolwork, remembers to send thank you notes and birthday cards to friends and family, and then you manage family conflicts when your children get into fights, or there's maybe a conflict between a parent or a grandparent and a child, right? Even if you love your family, you feel like you're drowning and there's just no time for yourself. So a lot of this responsibility of this invisible workload puts that responsibility on top of you, and you just feel like you're drowning and there's no time for yourself. And this could be for single people too, but I know women with husbands and children. I'm single myself. I'm looking if there's any of those good guys out there willing to share that 50-50 housework. No, for real. So the emotional labor, let's just find a way to overcome that. Talk to your partner, talk to your spouse. You know, even as single people, you have this emotional labor yourself. And a lot of times that happens at work. I put a lot of people at work first before myself, and I feel selfish if I don't. All right, moving on to the next. The fourth reason why women struggle to put themselves first: losing identity and losing their confidence over time. So this happens when women constantly put others first. They slowly lose touch with who they are outside of their role as caregivers, employees, and supporters. And over time, they just struggle with feeling lost or unfulfilled, like they're going through the motions and they're not truly living. They're working to make a living and they're not working to actually live, right? Losing confidence. Now, I will argue that losing confidence is kind of a give or take on this one. I don't think people lose their confidence. I think it just dims like a light. So if you think about like a candle, the light sometimes goes a little dim when the wick is small. But then if you were to move the wax from around the candle and relight that candle, that flame is big again. So I think it's something very similar. It's something that's always there. But when you lose yourself, you have no time to invest in your own personal growth. and therefore your confidence starts to dim. Or you might feel like it's too late to really go after what you really want. Now I could go over and over on how many people out there started going after the lives that they wanted in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. It's never too late. There's a report in the Harvard Business Review that found women are more likely to experience imposter syndrome and self-doubt. And this is due largely to expectations that they must be everything to everyone before they focus on themselves. So this could be like a woman who is passionate about writing or maybe travel or fitness, but really doesn't know or recognize herself anymore when she looks in the mirror. She looks and wonders and says, where did that confident and passionate woman go? And I am so guilty of this. I know when I get into relationships and, the men are attracted to me, it's because I'm usually in a really good place with myself. I'm confident. I feel good. I feel like I'm on top of the world. And then as I get into this role as girlfriend, and a lot of the times I'm doing some self-growth and development at work and starting to succeed, and those times at work, then I'm becoming everything for everyone at work as well, then I start to lose myself in that. And then my identity becomes a good worker, and I work a lot of hours, or a good girlfriend where I need to be there and do things for him, even though he hasn't asked me to do that. So if any of these resonate with you, like I need to hear from you. If you're listening to this and you're seeing a place to comment, I need to hear if any of these resonate with you, because I know what they do for me. So whether you are guilty of the good girl conditioning, the fear of being seen as unselfish, or the invisible responsibilities that lead to resentment, burnout, or your loss of identity, you need to comment and let me know. I need to know that I'm not alone, but then people out there also need to know that they are not alone. So moving on to the truth. So why being selfish is actually the most selfless thing you can do. Because when you take care of yourself, you fill up your emotional cup. And you can't pour from an empty cup. The importance of self-care for your mental and emotional health is so important, because the better you are mentally and emotionally for you, the better you are for the people around you. There's Harvard research that shows that self-compassion leads to greater resilience and just really overall life satisfaction. Because at the end of the day, when people are on their deathbeds, they don't wish they would have worked more or done more for other people. They wish they would have traveled, spent more time with their loved ones, or just done more things for themselves. I bet you anything, if you live a more fulfilled life, you're going to feel more satisfied and happy when that day comes. Now, the other truth why being selfish is actually the most selfless thing you can do is when you prioritize yourself, you can show up better for others. And what does that mean? Personal fulfillment leads to better relationships, more energy, and increased productivity. And I can tell you that in the past relationships that I talked about not too long ago, that if I would have spent more time on my personal fulfillment, I bet that could have deepened some of those relationships. Now, granted, some of those relationships were meant to end for a reason, but then there's some that I wonder, well, damn it, if I would have just stuck with personally fulfilling myself and just kept in touch with who I truly was, I think that I would have had more energy, not only for myself, but for my partner, and I would have had increased productivity in all areas of my life. So when you prioritize yourself, you could be someone like a mother who takes time for yourself. And then when you are present, you're more patient with your children and your spouse. So keep that in mind. Prioritizing yourself, you can show up better. And you can actually be an inspiration. So this isn't something that should be a shock or a surprise. So when you prioritize your own dreams, you are now an inspiration. When you choose happiness and confidence, you became a role model for those around you, for your coworkers, for your spouse, for your children, for anybody that sees you. Oprah Winfrey once said that putting herself first was the catalyst for her success. All right, Oprah, you got me. I'm going to put myself first all the time. I want to be a catalyst for success. All right, you can do it. Put your dreams first. Be an inspiration to other people. There are so many people that are inspirations to me in my life. It's because they have done this before. They put themselves first, and I'm just now seeing that very, very clearly. All right. So now that we've talked about the problem and why we struggle to put ourselves first, and what the truth is around being selfish, and actually the most selfless thing that you can do is be selfish. Now we want to talk about some steps and how you can start putting yourself first. So, step number 1, anytime you're setting a goal, anytime you want to do anything in your life, you have to identify what you really want and really get clear about this. Clarity around what you truly want is so important, because you could say you want to lose weight, you can say you want to start a business, but if you're not truly clear on what that means, you're not going to be able to shoot for the stars. So first thing you want to do is just get out a piece of paper, get out your computer, get out your phone, something, and start journaling. And I want you to ask this question: if I stopped worrying about what others thought about me, what would I do differently? Powerful right there. If I stopped worrying about what others thought, what would I do differently? I need you to stop this video right now and get out a journal and start writing down what your worries are. If those were gone, what would you do differently? So that is step number 1. Identify what you really want and get super clear about it. Step number 2, you have to set boundaries and protect your energy. When you let people break down those boundaries, you become that doormat. We've all heard that before, and that's really what that means. You can say no without guilt and create space for what matters. So when you set your boundaries and protect your energy, if you're not sure how to set that boundary, you need to do the exercise of writing down what matters to you. Is it your sleep, your health, your money? What is it that you are working on? And if somebody asks you to do something and it went against those beliefs or that set of values, then you have a guideline now to say no. Write it down and keep it somewhere where if someone asks you, you don't have to say yes or no right away. Let me think about it. When people ask you to do something, give me a few minutes or give me some time, let me think about it. Then go to your list and say, okay, if I do this for this person, is it going to dim my light or go against any of these beliefs that I have and the things that I need for myself? All right, so set boundaries, protect your energy. And then last step, take aligned action toward your happiness. Investing in yourself is the best decision that you can make. Whether that's waking up an hour early and investing an hour of your time just to do the things that you want. Go take some me time, go work out, whatever that might be. There's studies that show that people who set and pursue personal goals report higher life satisfaction. And that's from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. And I think I heard it from the Mel Robbins podcast, as I do a lot of things. When you have a project to work on, so whether that's a goal or maybe a project that you're working on at home, you're less likely to also beat yourself up about things. You're less likely to make judgments about yourself. So think about some goals, write them down. What is it that you want to pursue? What are some projects that you want to do that are going to make you happy? And start working on those. Invest in yourself. That could be time, that could be energy, or that could be money, and some programs to help you, or a life coach like me to help you through some of those things. Now, if you've done things like that, maybe you're just like me and you have started by reading all the books, all the self-help books out there. and putting some of those things into action. Or maybe not. Maybe you haven't even started that process yet. Maybe you've listened to podcasts, or you have done research and paid for some small programs to help you better your life, but you're still feeling like you aren't happy or don't have purpose or stability. Then I want you to give yourself permission to prioritize yourself. And I have just the thing for you to do that. So I already mentioned before, I have that Glow Getter Challenge, and I think this is your next step. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to give yourself a gift. And this program is priceless. Your life and your happiness is priceless. This 6-week challenge will give you all the tools, the support, and the accountability to reclaim your purpose, your confidence, and your accountability. I dare you to go out and do some research and find any testimonials that say, oh, I'm so sad that I invested some more time and money in myself. I'm so sad that I spent all this time and money putting myself first and changing my life. But you will have a hard time finding those. So it is time for you to put yourself first and change your life. All right, so biggest takeaways. Putting yourself first isn't selfish. It is necessary. Find the truth behind why being selfish is actually the most selfless thing you can do, and start putting yourself first. And let's get you into this Glow Getter Challenge. If you are listening and you are interested, I have put a link below for you to apply to be part of the Glow Getter Challenge. I only have 10 spots and 10 women who are truly, truly ready to change their life. You deserve the life you dream of, and it all starts with choosing you. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share this episode with another woman in your life that might be struggling on putting themselves first. It's necessary, and you have some amazing people around you that are ready to support you. So also be that inspiration and support for others. Until next time, keep being a badass, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. you got to choose your hard. There's reasons why and psychology behind why our brains have a hard time starting something new. I want you to reflect on the hards that you want to choose today, the hard things that you want to choose to do tomorrow, and the results that you're going to see in the future. I want you to share your thoughts, your experiences, and your struggles. I would love to see them. If you're on Instagram, I want you to hit a story and share your experiences, your thoughts, and share it with the world on the hards that you're going to choose from now on forward for yourself. And I want you to tag me at Liz Javier 321, LizJavier 321, and I want to hear from you. So subscribe, share, take a small action today towards a better hard, share it on social media, tag me, and if you want to work one-on-one together, I have this amazing program that I'm starting, and I'm taking only a select 10 clients right now. And it is a 3-month coaching program where you're going to get a 90-minute assessment where we are going to go over your life and your happiness and see what it is that you need in your life in order to be happy. Whether it's weight loss, mental or spiritual well-being, finding your purpose, landing your dream job, or simply feeling unlost and having a fresh start. This is for you. Over the course of 3 months, we will start with a 90-minute deep dive assessment. It's going to help you gain clarity on where you are and where you want to go over the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, and beyond. You will get 10 private coaching calls. These are personalized support just for you, guidance and action steps that you are going to be able to take with you and accountability. Because you're also going to be able to voice text me throughout the week to get real-time encouragement and insights when you need them. So if you're ready to take control of your happiness and design a healthier, more fulfilling life, let's unlock the best version of you. If you're ready for a breakthrough, see the description below, set up a call with me, and let's see what we can start. Thank you so much for being here. If you stayed all the way to the end, it's because I know you're dedicated to your life, to your happiness, and creating the life that you deserve. Thank you so much. I love you all so deeply and appreciate you for listening. I can't wait to hear from you. If there's any topics you'd like to hear about as well, don't be afraid to comment wherever you are listening, or you can send me a message on Instagram. Don't forget to follow me at LizJavier321. I'll see you there. Have a great week.